And hello, Indian fans, and welcome to the Tuesday Night Podcast with Coach John Peacock. I'm John Mussone, and Coach, we talked a little bit about last week's game. I know you're probably tired of talking about it already, but just real quick, what put a bow on last week, obviously 41-3 was the final score. And what I'm taking away the positives, what would you take away from everything?
All right,
Friday?
so one, I think the game served its purpose. We saw the kids, and we saw that, one, they didn't lay down.
No.
They, for the most part, we didn't really establish that we had anybody that wasn't willing to compete because they're going against somebody bigger or faster or stronger. Two, one of the things we came away with is, we felt like our running backs and our quarterback ran extremely hard, and our competitors, and
Yes.
they did not back down. And we've seen, you've watched enough of our games over the years, and sometimes we have had backs that when it gets hairy in the middle, like they won't hit the hole.
Yeah.
They'll look to let's run outside, but our guys, I felt like they did a really good job of hitting the hole, and that's going to pay off. That will pay off in the long run. We didn't try to take any Pop Warner corners or anything like that.
Right.
We stuck our nose up in there, and we got what we were supposed to get. And sometimes we were getting 3 or 4 yards. But the problem was we were getting 3 or 4 yards, and the next play, a mental error.
So I think facing a team like IMG, like you did, maybe that forces the guys on the line, the running backs, to follow the play. You're not going to be able to bounce something.
No.
You said, if I'm going to get anything positive, I got to hit the hole where my guys, I can't look because that guy's going to catch me from behind.
Another thing positive, I thought our receivers, when they knew what they were supposed to do, when they didn't have any middle errors, I thought they played well. I thought Ryan Matulovic, like we talked about earlier, I want to say, I may be off a number, but I want to say we had 3 targets in the air, 4 targets with a play called, and he was 3 or 4. He caught the ball, he competed for the ball. And he does it in practice.
Very sure-handed. Looked like the route was crisp. It looked good. It looked real good.
So we walked away feeling pretty good about Ryan as far as competing for the ball.
Sure.
And being able to isolate him on some things. Our offensive line, at times they came off the ball and did well. And other than we had 53 missed assignments, so that makes it really, really tough, no matter who you're playing. So we got to get better in that area and kind of concentrate a little bit more of what we've been coached to do.
What would be the average of missed assignments? It'd be, not a good. You played a good game. You won handily.
Like last year during a playoff run.
Yeah.
For the whole line, 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's.
And we're just talking about you did the wrong thing, not
right.
You did it bad. You
right.
did
Not physically.
You went to the wrong place.
Right.
53. And we only ran 56 plays.
Right.
So there's multiple in one play, but that's things we got. Those are things we got to fix. Overall, the attitude on the sideline I thought was phenomenal. I mean, getting beat like that and for it happening very quickly, the way the game started, I thought that our kids did a great job of being really good teammates and being positive and not getting on each other and not blaming each other and not pointing the finger. It was very easy to do. It's very easy to do, especially with the expectations that we have to be one of those guys. And we didn't have anybody that did that last Friday night. Everyone was very positive. There was no point in the offensive line, hey, you're not blocking. There was no point in the quarterback, hey, you're not getting me the ball. There was none of that, and that was really good. And those are things we can build on. I think one thing is that we, our kids love each other. They've been through a lot together.
Yeah.
We force that upon them. So I don't think we'll ever see any of that. Hopefully,
I mean, so looking at it from do you attribute that to maybe team leadership or just the general sense of team camaraderie in some ways? Because you're always looking for where that leadership's going to come from. You always hope that it's the older guys, but sometimes it doesn't come. Sometimes in a game, there's a guy who isn't afraid to step up and say something and do whatever, maybe unexpectedly.
I think they all respect each other, and that's kind of what we try to build. And we put them through a lot, and everyone suffers. You know what I mean? They all suffer together. You
right.
have a group of people, that are suffering together or working together and are getting worked together. They have to at some time pull together. We have a thing we call surprise attack, where basically it's all or nothing. Everyone's got to finish the deal, and everyone's got to complete the task, or everyone suffers.
Right.
So I think one thing they've learned to do is root for each other and pull each other along, because we're only going to be as good as the weakest guy.
Sure.
So.
Sure.
I felt like I was just really happy about that, because I've been on, and you've seen it. We've had issues in the past where get me the ball. You guys aren't doing your job. We've seen that before. And that's part. And that's something that's after the game. You feel bad you got your butt beat, but then if you have that, then it's like you just feel bad. Like, I'm a bad coach. Like, I'm allowing this stuff to happen. I'm not. You know what I mean? So. I thought that was really positive. One thing's for sure is we're happy we're not playing IMG this week.
Right.
We're playing Miami Northwestern, although a very, very formidable opponent. We're very excited to hopefully kind of redeem ourselves. I think we've had a good week of practice. The attitude's been great. Kids have been working hard. Obviously, they're going to have a little bit of self-confidence just because we were able to go down there and beat them last year. But at the same time, I think that I've been telling them, and we're going to have to match their intensity, because they're going to come in here fired up, and we can't afford for them to come in locked in and fired up, ready to play us, and fall behind right away.
So
we got to play well.
So your scheduling of Miami Northwestern over the last 2 years, and other teams that you have scheduled this year, I know a lot of that in some ways is like, hey, you know what? We want to play that caliber of team. We are that caliber of team. And I think the kids, I think they get it. I think they get it a lot. And they say, okay, we are playing the tradition-rich school. We're playing legitimate guys that are going up to the next level. You got to think that's got to be a huge motivation. I would say that coming off that preseason kickoff classic game to start the season this way, I think it's kind of an interesting dynamic to have them say, okay, now this is where we really get to play. And I think you probably see hopefully a pretty high intensity level from us coming off a loss and knowing that team is that good.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And like you said, we're playing the best of the best in the state. And you just look at it week after week after week. It's the real deal. And then we're playing two of the best teams in the country, in IMG and St. Francis. And I tell people all the time, I'd much rather be the bottom of the top than the top of the bottom.
Right.
Because I could go out there and make a schedule, and we could walk through it, be 10-0, and pound our chests. And then you know what's going to happen? We're going to get in the playoffs, and we're going to run into a team like Venice.
So I'll look at it from the perspective of the state championship game last year. I think that Apopka was a really good football team. I think they were well coached.
They didn't have a chance.
We had faced so much more in our 14 game schedule than they had that you don't want to say this because it sounds arrogant or cocky or whatever, but within a quarter or so, I could tell that there was very little chance that they were going to. I think it came down to the fact that we had been so seasoned and so prepared.
There's no doubt about it. That's one thing I've learned, and it took me a little bit, because I used to be the guy like, yeah, I want to play the tough teams. I'll play anybody. Yeah. But I always found myself like, oh yeah, I'll schedule them because I think we can beat them. I think we can beat them.
Right.
Now I schedule teams like who can kick our butt, who can line up and beat us. That's who I want to play.
Right.
Because I want to be them, and I know that if we don't play those teams, and we don't play the teams that are probably could kick our butts, then we ain't never gonna get there. Right. You don't just show up one day and say, hey, I'm here. Hey, new kid on the block. It don't happen that way.
Right.
You have to pay your dues, and you have to figure out. You got to figure out, and your kids got to know. Your kids got to be able to compete against that competition week in and week out, week in and week out. If not, they're not going to be ready.
You talked about how in the coaches show earlier how good the quarterback from Miami Northwestern is. But we might be saying that for the next 9 weeks, 10 weeks, about how good the quarterback is for the next team. Whatever that skill set may be. Maybe it's a running quarterback. Maybe it's whatever it may be. But they're all going to be that good, or a lot of them are going to be at that level. So you week after week after week, you're going to see it. And I think you're right. I think you look at it and you say, "This is the challenge is that this is not the only one. It's the first one."
Right. You got to compete against players like that and teams like that. You got to compete. You got to play teams. Miami Northwestern is not coming down here to lose.
No.
And they are not coming down here to play well.
There's a mission. What did we score? Over 50 points against them
They
last
are
year?
coming down here, and they are going to try to prove a point. Make no mistake about it. Now, if we're playing, I don't know, Hardee.
Right, anybody.
And Hardee's coming down here, they're probably like, why did we schedule this one? You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll see what we can do the first quarter and a half, and then.
Right. But I want to play teams that are coming down here like, all right, Venice, we're going to come down there and kick your teeth in. You know, not we're going to come see if we can hang for a little bit, and this will be good competition for us. We're coming down here to kick your teeth in.
When we come out of that banner and Keon does that backflip, you know where they're going to be standing. They'll be at the numbers ready to go.
I know.
You know that.
Although, one thing I was impressed with I didn't know what to expect last year with Miami Northwestern because, you have the Year of the Bull on YouTube, and we've been down there and we played St. Thomas Aquinas, where I was totally shocked with the way they acted. But I tell you what, Miami Northwestern, their guys didn't say a peep. They didn't say a word. They lined up and played football.
Right.
They're really well coached. Their coaches were coaching.
For everybody from the guy letting us in the stadium to the press box to everything. Phenomenal.
Yes,
unclassy I
was so
awesome
impressed
guys.
with their program and their coaches and their players, and those are teams where you walk away and they win a national championship and say, man, they deserve it.
Right.
They're disciplined. They're well coached. They're here to play football. They weren't here to do anything else. They weren't here to jaw and they were here to play football.
Their way of telling you how good they were was putting the ball in the end zone.
Loved
and
it. Like
we had to
literally walk, jog right by them, and I don't know if the coaches told them that you say a word to them, I'm gonna knock your helmet off, but they didn't say a peep to us, and we didn't say anything to them. We went and did our business, but I was impressed with that. I didn't know what to expect. I've heard all this, we go into a Traz Pal, it's it just heard a lot of stories, and
it really. I mean, you think about the players that have played on that field. From that because obviously tradition-rich Miami football is. I mean, between you and I think probably I'll agree. Miami is the best football in the country from one city. There's no way. It's not even close. So it's tradition-rich. And that's the Mecca. That's the spot to go to is Traz Powell. So being there for a team like Venice and beating those guys there is a pretty big deal.
Miami Northwestern, Miami Central, those are the schools. I mean, those are the two schools. Like,
when they play, it means something. It means something a lot.
And I guarantee this Friday night it's going to mean something to Miami Northwestern to come down here and kind of redeem themselves.
And again, that's probably why a game like this is so. Like the people there's a clamor to it in the whole state. People want to watch this game. People want to see this game because you don't get a lot of this. I mean, moving forward, we may not get a lot of it at all.
You don't.
You're not going to get it.
And you're going to get Miami Northwestern. You're going to get Miami Central every year, but how often are you going to get Miami Northwestern versus Venice?
Right.
And I mean,
the only time you'd ever get it before is in the state finals.
I promise you that. Everybody in South Florida is rooting for Miami Northwestern to beat Venice.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They are like, you better hold up our end of the deal and beat Venice. Like, you're representing us.
Wouldn't you say that sort of like being an anomaly or being like the outlier, let's say of the state champions? Let's say we're the Suburbans. You know what I mean? We're the suburban guys, and they're like, well, these guys can't keep doing this because they're S, we're M now, whatever that classification
We went down
means.
there last year when we beat Columbus. Our Columbus came here.
Right.
So now it's like, if we beat – and we beat Miami Northwestern last year.
Right.
And we beat Homestead the year before. So I think they're getting a little bit of pressure. Like, hey, you got to win this one.
We won a state championship in Fort Lauderdale too.
Yeah.
People were there to watch that game, and we were the most well-attended game mostly because of our fans, but nonetheless, that game was well-attended, and they're watching, and all of a sudden it's like, what's going on over there? You sort of there's a piqued interest into what's happening right now with Venice football, and I think that's sort of like I'm sure our fan base understands that somewhat. I'm not sure how much the kids are into that sort of in depth about thinking about what it means, but in the bigger picture stuff, it means a lot. I mean, we know
it's going to be huge around the state.
They have the highlight show that they do on Bally Sports now that we send video to and whatever it may be. And if you keep on seeing Venice on that show all the time, they're like, what is going on there? And we want to see this.
Yeah, we're representing the S, and they're representing the M.
A lot of M's.
Even though that's one thing I totally disagree with what they did and how they did it. I think, the separating the metro and really they made it metro instead of just saying, hey, we're separating South Florida.
Right.
Because it was all about South Florida.
Correct, it was.
And all they're doing is they're punishing the pretty girl. Like, I'm sorry, you've been too successful. We're not going to let you in. I just think that's wrong. I mean,
if you're that good, then you win. You win. That's what happens.
Yeah, and then if you win it and you don't have to play the M's, the metro teams, like, what does it mean?
In the greater universe, they're going to say, so what did you win?
Yeah. Well, ours, like the 4, I think 4S and 4M are a little different.
Yeah.
I think the 4S is probably the only class that may be tougher than the M side.
Okay. Yeah, because you got Lakeland and
you got Lakeland, who's probably the best team
perennial powers
right now. And you got Osceola, who supposedly has a phenomenal defensive line. I haven't seen any film on them, but they're supposedly really, really good. And then you got Niceville.
But you can have the perennial power too. Yeah. So you're right. You probably got some in there, but nonetheless, when you take that subset out, it makes it a little different.
We're playing them anyway. We're playing Seminole.
That's what I'm saying. So they're all going to be.
We'll know anyway.
No doubt. With that, we'll take our only break, our halftime break here on the podcast. Come back here to Bogies and wrap up and do our second half of our podcast. See you back here in about 90 seconds.
Bogies of Venice, located at 652 East Venice Avenue. Come eat in a family-friendly environment and enjoy hand-tossed pizzas made with fresh homemade pizza dough. Bogies has been open for 17 years and has been voted best wings in town several consecutive times. Inside, we feature the Venice Hall of Fame, 37 flat-screen TVs, and arcade games for the kids. Bogies of Venice, where good sports come to play.
What does Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram and Venice High Football have in common?
The perfect team and the perfect lineup.
Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram will always go the extra yard so you can score big with the area's best selection and savings. So if you're looking for a championship vehicle lineup
and a dealership that tackles the competition,
visit Douglas Jeep Chrysler Dodge Ram in Venice.
And if you're looking for a championship football lineup, check out the Venice High Football team.
Who supports Venice High Football?
Douglas does!
And we're back here for part 2 of our Tuesday night podcast. And before we get started,
we're going to do something new.
Yes,
we're going to do a spotlight sponsor each week. That one of the businesses that have sponsored our coaches show.
Absolutely, for a number of years now.
Just kind of way to say thank you and try to get people to understand how this happens. And if you do want to be a sponsor, we can spotlight you.
Absolutely. So tonight it's Douglas Jeep. Monty and Mr. Douglas, Greg Douglas, down there doing a fantastic job helping us out. Some sponsors are, we love it.
Hands
off, and they're about whatever to help support the team. This is not a hands off.
They're
sponsor.
hands on. They've had the kids down for a commercial. I'm not sure if it's been on TV yet, but really, Monty put together a commercial. Damon's in it, and I think Damon does most of the talking. I think Brooks is in it, and
probably Elliot.
Kentai. No, Elliot at the time. Elliot was getting his teeth removed, his wisdom teeth removed, so he couldn't be in it.
That's not fun.
But very, very involved. I think, some neat things, especially with the kids being on the commercial. I think that's neat. You sit there watching college football on Saturday, and all of a sudden
you
pop up on the commercial.
You and the shark.
Yeah. Now we just got to get some NIL money, even though that's illegal in Florida. You can't do that yet.
You can't do any of that stuff. But but thanks to those guys. Thanks for what you do. You can't imagine how much we appreciate the atmosphere that it permeates after games, during games, before the games. The fan base, people in the parking lot. I mean, all this stuff's going on.
They got some really cool Jeeps too. I think
their inventory
my
is
niece
fantastic.
got one of the Jeeps. I mean, it's really, really cool. And Monty's wife, has a Jeep that Justice absolutely loves.
Decorated.
It's like it's a pink Jeep with
flowers or
teddy bears and stuff.
It's got all
over.
kinds of stuff on it. Yeah,
it's they got some really cool stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, my two daughters are Jeep purchasers as well. They love their Jeeps. So go down there, talk to Monty. There's going to be a deal to be made, and I know how he is. If you walk in there and want to buy a vehicle, we're probably going to walk out with one.
Tell him you're from Venice Football and you want the special discount.
Yeah, tell me you saw the really cool Venice Football commercial.
You will get the special discount if you let them know you're a Venice Indian.
We'll promise. With that, back to football talk, or where we left off, I should say. Again, the game this week or Friday night. We've talked about what we expect. Hopefully, the fan bases will be friendly and excited and everything else. But looking forward down the road into the season a little bit more. Our schedule, the way you built it this year, having 9 home games. A lot of people ask me, what kind of voodoo does he do to get that done? I said, well, it's just a matter of building your schedule, especially when you have a 2-team district. Or 3-team district, and you only have the 2 games. But how much effort does it take you, networking, calling, whatever you have to do to get a schedule together where it's as let's say user-friendly as we have this year?
It's probably one of the most frustrating things that I have to do is to put together a schedule. I'm always going to try to, off the bat is try to get a home game out of it. And, some teams we compensate to come play us. And some teams are, they want that competition.
Sure.
Not a whole lot of them will do, but some teams do want the competition, and they just maybe want to help with the bus. Like I think Chaminade, they need help with the bus. So I think we're paying for their buses, and I think we're paying for Seminole's bus. But they, Seminole and Chaminade, they're 2 programs that I can say, like, hey, they wanted that competition. They wanted the competition of playing us.
Yeah.
Miami Northwestern wanted that competition. I think it was just a wash with Northwestern. They kind of repaid us for coming down there last year.
Sure.
And they need games. Usually the teams that are willing to play other good teams really don't have the option. Like
right.
People ask me like, why did you schedule that? Why'd you schedule that hard? It was either that or play 8 games. What do you want me to do? Like it's not fair to the kids to not play, and we got to play somebody. It's just not fair to the kids to.
And I think a lot of times now, we want to go 15-0, right? That's the ultimate goal.
No, we want to go 7-6 for all I care. 7-8. But we got to win the 5 playoff games. We got to win our 2 district games.
So if I say we, sometimes I'm talking about collectively.
Yeah.
The fan base, the parent base. Everybody says, and they look at it and they get distraught over something, or they look at something, and that's not the case, because the case is that, you're looking at example. So the other thing they ask is, how the heck are we playing on ESPN2 against St. Francis? St. Francis came down and played us once before. It was chronicled on HBO about how they came down and look at the beach, and these guys got palm trees and this and that, whatever it was. Kind of a cool situation. But they came again, or they're coming back again. So there's something to it. You're valid, your validity of what of the program, of what the players are doing, what everything has happened, is valid enough that they came back again to play. IMG played us 3 times now, 4 times now, whatever.
Well, IMG's going to play whoever is willing.
Understandable, but I mean, you understand that it's not. They're not going to take on somebody that I don't think they would beat by 100 points.
Right.
They would look at that kind of thing. So there's some what's going on is you look at how valid the program is, and do you understand that there's going to be some lumps and ups and downs in that situation? Sure, but man, it really, I mean, from my perspective, it is ultra cool to see like this happening and seeing what every game that these kids play is a memorable game. Every game has something to it.
Yeah.
Remember this game. Remember we played this level of team. It's got to be fantastic.
I mean, just view yourself as a fan. Just take yourself out of, the stuff that you do
Right.
for our program. But just to say you're just a fan, a graduate, and this week Venice is playing the local 5-5 team.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, are you going to be excited to go see that? The
No.
local 5-5 team, or are you going to be excited like, hey, Venice is playing Miami Northwestern Friday?
That's the
like
one we're
I want to
going
go
to.
see. I want to go see what Miami Northwestern is all about. This is a team that won 2 national championships, and it's a storied program.
I may never have seen Miami Northwestern. I live on the west coast of Florida.
Right.
And how many times have they come here to play anybody?
Exactly. So I think it's not only as coaches like preparing for the games, like because we know if we don't prepare and get those kids ready 100% locked in, like we're going to get our brains beat in.
Right.
You know, and if we're playing the local team that's 5-5,
If you come into every game with the intensity level of playing the Miami Northwestern Bulls every week, you're gonna be pretty darn good.
that's what I'm
You're gonna
saying.
be really good.
And it just brings more to. I think it brings more to our community. I mean, how much money was spent on the island last Friday night?
Right.
After a game, before the
Everything's filled.
game.
This place is filled up. That
Yeah,
place.
and
They're all filled
And then
up.
what's going to happen this Friday if Miami Northwestern brings 4,000 people
They got to eat
to the
before the
island?
game.
They're going to eat before. They're going to eat after. They're going to find something to do.
Yeah, no doubt. It's funny talking about being a fan though, because ultimately I am a fan in so many ways. And it's funny to talk to people that I know throughout the country, old high school buddies or friends that moved away or whatever it may be, and all of a sudden I'll get a text message or call like, who? What are you guys? What's going on there? Even for the casual observer, it pops off the page. And as a fan, I'm like, I'm darn proud of it.
I mean, you want to go see it.
Yeah.
As I think, like I say, you graduated from Venice High School. Like, you want to go see that game. You don't want to go see, Venice is playing the annual game against so and so. They played them 40 times, and they're 39-1 against them.
Right, and you don't want to see it every week. That's for sure. Because that run through that situation, it just sort of like
It gets boring.
Well, that's
kind of like when I first started. We were like we played the same schedule, and then the next year we'd flip it, and then the next year we'd play the same schedule, and then we'd flip it. Like that got boring. Like I'm sick of playing them. Like
right.
Somebody else we can
and
play.
It gets chippy after even sometimes.
It's just boring. It's just like how many times are we gonna play them? I mean, there was some local games that were actually really good football games. I think Braden River. Those games were awesome.
They were super exciting. Yeah.
Even though it was very lopsided, and we were probably 9-2 against them, but the games were great. Like it could have went either way.
And I think what you're saying too is it doesn't mean that you don't want to play.
No doubt.
Right, but you definitely do because there's great football teams in this area.
I think we should still be playing Charlotte. Like those are like Charlotte we should play, but they won't play.
Right.
And it's like.
And
that would be a great game. It always was a great game. It always came down to the wire. Even if we were really good and they weren't so good, it always came down to the wire.
They always played. They always they're sort of like a little bit of our kryptonite in some cases. It was like
exactly.
Why can't we do what we normally do against these?
It's never like we blew them out. We never blew them out ever.
No.
I mean, they even knocked out a team that I think was a state championship team. When the first time we played them in the regular season, we put a running clock on, and they came and beat us in the playoffs.
Right. So it was that was like.
And that was a team we're going to be playing St. Thomas Aquinas, and that's coming down to us. And then
we were heading there, right?
Before we got to where we are now, but we had a team then.
There was this off-season discussion about that in particular. Was like, what team was who's the best team in Venice is that team that didn't win that was.
Pretty special.
Every
and they knocked us off.
Yeah,
no
doubt.
Knocked us off.
So I think that's the thing. It's not so much that you want to seek out everybody from all over the state. You want to seek out the best competition. If it's right here, which it can be, then that's what you want to do as well.
We have a chance. We might run into Charlotte in the playoffs. So That'll be interesting.
That's an interesting thing. That's a little bit more of that the new classification. You're taking that pool of metro schools
Yeah.
out of it. Now the playoffs will be much more, maybe some familiar names.
And that would be. Can you imagine that huge gate? Like imagine playing Charlotte third round.
Oh, that would be. Then you're talking about who gets to host that game. That's going to be a fun one.
Huge gate.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
So that's it. So yeah,
Time will tell.
Yeah, but
Let's win this one Friday night first.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're just doing a little
Yeah.
nifty stuff about the season. But again, the schedule looks fantastic. Really cool way it's set up, and I just want people to know because they get asked a lot. I mean, how does that all take place? Because some people think that the schedule is handed to you.
Yeah.
They're like, here you go. Here's your schedule. Go get them, coach. Well, we picked that out of a hat, and you got Miami, Northwestern, and Sanford Seminole.
The schedule probably takes about 80 hours to make.
Yeah.
You know, as far as you're making phone calls and searching teams and reaching out to them on social media, and then you think you have it, and you're like, up, we're out. You know, you think you have it again, and then something changes, and you think you have it again, and something changes. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
But you know, we're always going to have, you win a state championship. It's going to be tough to schedule the next year because you got a lot of teams that they don't want that. They don't want to play the competition. They want to play teams they can beat.
They want to get where they want to get.
I want to play teams that we might lose.
Right.
So there's a difference.
Right. And
You
again, it's, and what you do and how you play that game is how you build to the next
Right.
one and the next one, no doubt. Again, going back to this week again about this particular team. Defensively, we talked a little bit about it on the coach's show, a little bit about the pregame show. But defensively, obviously, strong up front. When Trenton Kintai gets back, we think we'll probably be one of the better defensive lines in the state, I would think.
Yeah.
But overall, a lot of young guys playing in the linebacker core, some new faces. Anybody in particular that stood out to you this week as far as the defense was concerned, outside of Damon had a pretty good game.
No, I just think I think they're in kind of the same boat as we are offensively. I think we had a lot of mental errors, a lot of just mental mistakes and not being where you're supposed to be. And those coaches, Coach Shannon and Coach Wyline and Coach Hatler and Coach Heyer and Coach Jones, they're gonna get them right. There's no doubt about that. It just, like you said, when you're young, I mean, you can't buy experience.
Right.
And so our first experience was Friday, and we got it on film, and we've done some coaching on that, and we're gonna be better. I think we're gonna no matter what, we're gonna be better than we were Friday night, just because we're not gonna have as many mistakes.
Talking about last year's defense a little bit, and how you say where you're placing different people. You had Ramos and Ballard in the middle. Those guys played a lot of football before they were seniors. They did a lot of football. That's almost like having a 3-year or a Bryce Carpenter 4-year starter at quarterback when you have guys that played 3 years at inside linebacker. Like I said, so that's a lot to replace, and those kids have a lot of responsibilities on their head.
It's huge. We turn on the film, we're like, Lee. Felt like we had those kids forever. You were a 3-year starter. I mean, you feel like you have those kids for, 3 years, and
right.
You're like, now they're gone, and like, oh man, you didn't realize how lucky you were when you had the experience you had.
Moving that guy just a little bit over and get in the right gap, or do little things
Correct,
like that,
right.
or saying, I know this play, I know where this is going to go. That instinct kicks in. It's not, obviously defense being such a reactionary thing.
Right.
You play linebacker, and sometimes when you're thinking, that doesn't help.
No.
When you know where
The
to
more
go.
it doesn't help on either side. The more you're thinking, the slower you're going to be. So, like I said, we're going to have less mistakes this week, and we're going to be playing faster, and I think you're going to see a better product on the field.
Absolutely. All right, everybody listen, 7:30, Powell Davis Stadium. We need everybody out there this week because Miami Northwestern is bringing 4,000 people, so we better have at least 4,000 people
That's
from Venice.
straight from the athletic director's mouth, is they're bringing 4,000 people.
So we got to be ready. So, and again, it should be a high-intensity, high-quality football game on Friday night. Everybody should be thoroughly entertained. I would hope so. And get there early so you're not waiting in that long line to get to those tickets. I know. Are we pre-selling this week?
They are. They're going to pre-sell on Wednesday and Thursday in the lunchroom. So if you have a student that goes to Venice High School, or you have a neighbor that goes to Venice High School, the tickets are $8. So however many you want, hand them to your friend, hand them to your neighbor, have them go buy them at lunch so you can just walk right in the game and you don't have to wait in line. Last week, I mean, there were people in line around the gym at halftime. So we are going to have more ticket takers this week, but at the same fact, if you can get your tickets ahead of time, I would highly, highly, highly recommend that.
What you don't want to be is in the line to get into the stadium or into the parking lot, and then the line to get into the stadium.
Yeah.
So you don't want to double line yourself. So get those tickets early, get to the game a little earlier. I mean, I'm the kind of person that if I got to sit around and get there ahead of time and wait an hour before the kickoff, I'm down with that. You know, so I know people got to go home from work or whatnot, but if you can get there early, this is one of those games you want to get there early for. There's no doubt about it. And I think you'll be highly entertained. And I think, Coach, that it's just going to be the beginning of what hopefully is another special season for Venice football.
I sure do hope so.
No doubt. All right, thank you guys for joining us for a podcast tonight. Look forward to seeing you Friday night, and look forward to seeing you back here next Tuesday for our Tuesday night podcast. Have a great evening.